For Global Resources. As I mentioned, Lindsay's going to be monitoring the chat and the back channel. The back channel is there to assist with any questions you may have, because sometimes Microsoft Teams may not show the chat feature depending on how you are logged in. So before we get started, I want to remind you that in order to receive credit for attending the NCBOLD sessions, you'll need to download the Performance Matters app on a secondary mobile device, and I will share a QR code at the end of the session for you so you can scan it and get your credit for this session. Attendance will be recorded in Nessus, and if you have you want more information or some additional directions, there is a link here to the how-to page. There's a bit.ly link /NCBOLD 721. So just want to remind you, for you to get credit, you'll need to do that. Okay, this mouse, there we go. All right, so I mentioned to you that there is a back channel. There's a link here to the presentation, and throughout the presentation, it is also that bit.ly link is also noted on each of the slides, so you can access it even if I move forward in just a bit. The back channel, however, is noted here, bit.ly/global RES and back with the G, R, and B capital letters. So that is case sensitive. If you'd like to type something in the chat, feel free to do that. If you have access to it, Lindsay will be monitoring both just in case there are questions presented. So just want to give you that option. Also in the back channel, I do want to show you, and I'll click on it because I want you to see that at the bottom half of it, there's a place where you can put your name, your email, your Twitter handle, and if you have any tools or resources you would like to share that others can benefit from, feel free to add those here, or if you just like to take some notes about anything, that is fine. You can add those here. And again, there's a section here for questions, and if for some reason your question gets missed during the session, I will check this out after the session and I will be happy to respond to you. Just make sure you include your email address somewhere within that question so that I can respond. All right, let's go back to the presentation. So I want to give you this disclaimer that the digital resources shared in this presentation may be helpful for educators and have been found to be helpful for educators across the state. However, many things change quickly, and I want to let you know that NCDPI does not represent nor endorse any of these resources. They are exclusive for this presentation, but I do hope that you can find these resources helpful for you. So before we go into the tools, I want to highlight the importance of Maslow's before Bloom's. And I know that we hear this often, the idea that students' basic needs are met before you can even move into the academics. So through the pandemic, I think we've all recognized the critical need to make sure that students have their physiological needs met, as well as that they have opportunities to share more about themselves, their experiences. Giving them opportunities to collaborate and talk with others is important. And I'm sure you recognize that, especially during the virtual learning pieces that we were forced into. It is important to help the students feel safe and secure, but also encourage them so they have a high self-esteem and they feel comfortable within their classroom environment, whether it's face-to-face or virtual. Students, we all know this. If students have those needs met, then they will be more willing to learn, and then they can focus on these other components within Bloom's taxonomy. So I want to mention that to you because I want to make sure that not only do we take time for our students, but we need to also take time for ourselves. You need to make sure that you are taking time to reflect on things and make sure that your needs are met as well. And that makes you a more productive person. So I have an answer garden here, and with this answer garden, you can click here on this hyperlink, and Lindsay will place it in the chat as well, or you can scan this QR code to access it. If you will go to the answer garden, and I'd like for you to type in what you like to do in your free time. Now, you'll be limited to about 20 characters, so you can just downsize that to 1 or 2 words and type in what you like to do in your free time. Now, I know some of you may say, what free time? I don't get any free time. I'm always busy. Well, if you were able to get free time or what you enjoy doing, if you could put that here. And I'm also want to remind you that it is important that you definitely take time for yourself. So even though you feel like you don't have any free time, please make sure you take time for yourself, because you're not going to be able to be as productive and focused to help your students if you're not taking care of you and your needs as well. So in my case, I love being with my family. So I put that here. I also really enjoy going to the beach. So if you have something that you enjoy doing in your free time, if you could click, just type in here and just click submit and it will show up. So somebody likes to read and garden and sew. Awesome. That's awesome. It gives you a chance to disconnect from the things that you're doing on the regular day. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoy sleeping or napping. I do enjoy that. Sometimes my body just cannot handle it. So I have to physically say, stop, take a 30-minute nap just to rejuvenate. Now, you can't do that during the day. I do on Saturdays sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful that I have a weekend that I can rest a little bit more. But I see here play with dogs. Oh, yes, I really enjoy playing. And time with grandkids. I have one, and I love her dearly. Peloton cycling, awesome. Now I like riding a bike. I don't have a Peloton, but I do a lot of walking, so I do enjoy that. And I walk with my sister, which is makes it even better because you can talk and walk and not realize how fast or how much you're walking. And then family, someone else. So I wanted to share with you this answer garden to give you a chance to reflect on what you enjoy doing in your free time, but also to let you know this is something you can do to gather quick feedback or brainstorm with your students. So this is a resource that you can use, and it's very simple to use. If you go to Answer Garden and then you go to plus, it just gives you an option to add another Answer Garden. And then you're able to get links to share it and use it with your students or with your peers, you know, ever how you want to use this. I just wanted to share that resource with you and give you a chance to reflect. So as we move forward, I want to share the digital learning standards for students, starting with the 2020-2021 school year, which was this past school year, which many of us were, or many of you were in virtual learning. It was expected that schools implement these standards. So with many of you being put into remote learning last year, hopefully you implemented these, whether you did it intentionally or not, you probably implemented these. So I want to highlight them. The first one is digital citizenship, data privacy, and cyber safety, which are all important. And I am sure you especially recognize this during remote learning, as it was important for students to use those digital resources responsibly. Then we have digital age skills that enable students to be college and career ready. Then we have creation and collaboration, communication, and critical thinking skills. And then inquiry and design thinking, learning opportunities. So I want to take a minute. This right here actually outlines those different components and outlines the different standards under empowered learner, digital citizen, knowledge constructor, innovative designer, computational thinker, creative communicator, and global collaborator. So those are the over-encompassing areas. I'm going to go to the DLS website, which is the site that we have at DPI. This is the state site for the digital learning standards. Here's a link to ISTE's site because we actually adopted the ISTE standards, which are the International Society for Technology and Education Standards for Students. So they are the ISTE standards, but we have adopted them as North Carolina's. Here's the digital learning standards timeline, but what I really want to show you are these resources over here. So this link here is for parent resources. So when you're trying to get them to understand the digital learning standards, especially when you're in a virtual environment and you're trying to encourage your parents to be involved with their child's learning. So I wanted to share these resources with you. And you can see here there's a quick video here about the standards, and then Common Sense Education provides many resources that support these standards as well that can be used for parents. There's an FAQ page that highlights the standards and information about the standards, and then crosswalks. We are trying to continue to build this, and at this time, we have English Language Arts, a crosswalk with the digital learning standards for those. And then we have the school library standards, digital learning competencies, and then a social emotional learning crosswalk. So I'm going to click on one of these. I'm going to click on the 3 through 5 for English Language Arts because I want to show you what the crosswalk looks like so that you can understand how this resource could be used. Now we're hoping to add the other subjects, but at this time, this is what we have. But as we add them, they will be on this site. So as you scroll through this document, you can see here is the ELA standard, and then here's the ELA standard, and here's the digital learning standard. But it tells you which standards within ELA can actually support that digital learning standard. So you're not teaching them separately, you're teaching them together. And that's important that you don't see that as an additional thing that you have to do, but that you can blend it with what you're already doing. So this is all the way, we have all of the ELA standards for each of the grade levels, and you can see those connected here. And then again, we have like the social emotional, and again, social emotional is across the board as well. So when you look at those and the digital learning standards, you can blend those within your curriculum. You're covering all three. So you can see here, there's a lot of information you can read, but if you go down, you can actually see the aligned standards table that shows the core SEL competencies with the digital learning standards. So how can you incorporate the digital learning standards through self-awareness and then self-management and social awareness and so forth. So I wanted to share these with you so that you know where they are and are able to access them. We also have grade band indicators that actually outline the digital learning standards and what would indicate a success of implementation of those standards. So I clicked on the 9 through 12 as an example, but we have all of the grade levels represented. And if you scroll down, you can see here's the standard. And these are samples. These are not what you have to do, but these are examples that you can recognize that if you do any of these, then you are meeting those standards. So these are just some sample ways that you can actually meet those standards for each grade level. So I wanted to point that out to you as well, so that if you don't know how to meet that standard, you can come to this document and there are some ideas listed there on the right. Some sample ways of including or meeting those standards. So I wanted to share that resource with you as well. I thought that was important, especially if you're not aware of the digital learning standards. Then there are some printables. You can print a classroom poster. You can, there's a template for how it would be implemented at the district level. Here are the digital learning standards, and then here they are with a dot notation. So you can click those and print those. And then there is a course for educators to give you more information about those standards. So again, I wanted to share that with you just so that you are aware that those standards are supposed to be implemented within the classrooms. I'm just closing these extra windows right now. So that you are aware of the resources that support those. All right. So with that said, there are a couple that I want to highlight. Now within these, we probably will, if you use the resources that I share today, then you're probably going to cover many, if not all, of those standards. However, I want to highlight a couple. First is Knowledge Constructor. And through the use of the resources that I shared today, if you use them within your instruction, then students will have the opportunity to use research strategies. They'll recognize what is a credible resource and what isn't. They'll understand how to curate information, and they can build knowledge by exploring resources and issues from around the world. And then another one is Global Collaborator. And as you know, through the title, we're going to be exploring some global resources today. So through global collaboration, you're going to allow students to connect and collaborate with other learners and experts from across the world. I'm going to share with you how they can connect with experts and then contribute within their project teams and explore local and global solutions. So now to the resources. So I wanted to give that to you because it's important that you understand those standards and that you're supposed to be incorporating those, and then how these resources that I'm sharing today align with those standards and can be used to fulfill those standards. So the first site that I'm going to is the North Carolina Zoo. Now, many of you may have already be aware of the site. You may know about these resources, but I want to share these in case you do not. They offer, the North Carolina Zoo and many other zoos and museums and other locations that are historical and things, they offer a lot of educational resources if you just research them. So I wanted to share with you the educator resources that the North Carolina Zoo offers. And if I scroll down, you can see here they have a video series. And if you click view more, then you can see their collection that they offer. And I'm going to scroll down. And it takes just a minute to load, but once it loads, you will see the different topics that they have. And what I like about these videos is not only do they share the video, but if you scroll down, they also show activities, things that link to the video. In this case, how to make a compost bin. So managing waste through composting, and then how to make a compost bin. So they link some activities that actually go along with the videos. Here's one activity with the reproduction in polar bears, and there's an activity that links to that video. And if you scroll down, you'll see some others. So just want to share that with you, those resources, because it's neat that not only do they show the video, but they link activities that you can also incorporate within your instruction. Okay, so let me go back. And if I scroll down, you will see here's Wild About Nature, and they have other activities. These are activities that you can click on and see a list of activities that you could use. This one is science experiments, and if you click on view more, you'll see all the science experiments that they have. Repurposing your plastic bottles, so it's ways that students can see. And this one happens to be a video, but sometimes they may have activities or things posted that will help you with those experiments. And with it being videos, it just takes a minute. I'm not going to click on the videos, but I did want you to see them so that you could see the different options that are posted here. And it still says waiting. There they come. So you can see here a video about how to repurpose them, and then fuel efficient stoves. So I wanted to share that with you. So the zoo here has many resources. They also have some recordings of past virtual programs. And I also want to note that they have, I'm going to scroll down right here, they have an online series that's every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And it is through Facebook, so that would depend on how your school has Facebook open or not. You could put a request in if they do close that down. You can't access Facebook at school. You could put the request in and letting them know what you're using this for. So that is, again, every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And then there's some other resources. And if you scroll on down, here's some other resources and lesson plans. And that's really if you're going to do a field trip, but they could link that. And some of you might, being in North Carolina, you may be able to go to the zoo. Okay, so I wanted to share those resources with you. I think that it's important that you recognize the resources that we have, not only throughout the globe, but also locally, so that you can make connections with those. And possibly, they would even be willing to do a virtual with your classroom. You could contact them and see. All right, so I'm gonna go to the next, it hyperlinked that. Let's do my arrow. There we go. So the next resource I want to share with you is the San Diego Zoo. So we did North Carolina Zoo, now the San Diego Zoo, and there are many zoos throughout the world, again, that offer some educational resources, but I want to show you what the San Diego Zoo offers. And the hyperlink that I have within the presentation goes straight to the educational resources. And if you scroll down, they have them grouped here by grade level, grades K through 6. And we're going to come back and go. I'm just going to scroll down for a minute, but we will come back and I'll click on a couple of these and show you what kind of resources that they have. So this is the San Diego Zoo Kids Corner. Here's another kids website, Tiger Life drawing lesson. And then here's some curriculum, and we'll go back and check that out in just a bit. And then there are middle and high school links for animal and plants, a science blog, and then there's some other resources if you continue to scroll. Here's some lesson plans that are related to learning to reading scientific literature. So just want to share these with you, let you know. Here's another downloading lesson file. So they have lots of resources here. I'm going to go back up and I'm going to show you this Kids Corner because this is a really neat website. And so you can see it's a little bit more kid friendly when you look at it. They have videos, they have stories, activities, and games. You can scroll down. They have live cams for each of the animals. I clicked on one. It just takes a while for it to load. So I won't click on it, but once it loads, you can actually see the live in action, those animals and their habitats. So that's really cool, so the students can see that. If you scroll down, you will see the different videos that they have on the different animals. And you see here it says load more, so they have a lot of them. And I'm going to show you how you can search for those as well. They have activities, games, videos, and then links here on different animals as well. And when you click on these links, it tells you more about the different animals there. So let me see if it'll take me back. Yes, it will. So when I go up here to the top, I just want to show you, you can actually search for any videos that are on any of these noted here. And then you can also search for any video link. So if you're doing just a brief clip, you can look for any videos that may be less than 1 minute, 1 to 2.5 minutes, or longer. So you can actually narrow your search down. So I wanted to share that with you. Sometimes you may want to share something with your students that's just on a quick level and show them the animals, just a quick glimpse of it. And so that way they can see that on those videos. This is a kids website. I won't go to that one just due to time, but I will show you this all kids curriculum. And just so that you can see the different categories of curriculum that they have that you would have access to. And I'm going to click on Watershed just as an example. This is for grades 3 through 5. But if you scroll down, you can see here there's a related animal, and then there's some documents here that can help you with implementing and including this within your instruction. So just want to share that resource with you. I'm going to go back. And then the middle and high school, excuse me, I'm going to click on the animal and plant site just so that you can see that. And if you click on one of these, it will tell you about that animal. You can also, there are more animals there. I'm going to click on amphibians, the first one there. And if you scroll down, you can see the number of species, the class, information and defining characteristics, other data about that, and information. And then there are other amphibians that they can see, because they may not think about all of these. You can also look at these categories and narrow those down. You can also look at conservation status, whether they're endangered or they're stable, and what region they live in. So you can also narrow those down so that you can do some comparisons. So I wanted to share that resource with you as well. So we are now going to go back. And I mentioned the live cams. I did put a hyperlink within the slideshow just so that you can quickly access. This is more of the adult version links to the live cams, or the high school version, the older students. You noticed on the kids corner, they were a little bit more kid friendly with little circles and so forth. So these also are links to the live cams that they have there. And I put a notation on the presentation that just so that you are aware that from 7:30 to 8 means from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, it is a live cam. That's when it's daytime in San Diego. But when it's dark, what they do is they rebroadcast that morning's stream so that you can see the animals better, because you can't obviously see them if it's at night. So I wanted to share that with you. All right, the next one is Wild Earth Kids. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Wild Earth Kids will take students 4 to 18 on a free, live, and interactive safari experience. And you're going to see it in just a moment. We're going to go there. For 45 minutes, they enjoy Safari Live, and they tour some of the most iconic wildlife in the world. They get to interact with specialists and get to ask questions throughout the actual safari. And what you may not, I'm going to click on this, you do not have to log in to be able to access the safari. And now what I don't know is if you ask questions, you may have to log in or register so they can coordinate with your email. But I do want to, I'm going to show you in just a minute. You can see here, no booking is required. All parents and groups with children are free to join. This explains what they do. This video explains who they are, and you can just click on that to view it. That is not the live Safari link, but it does give you information about what this website offers. This talks about the Safari Live experience and where they are, and it gives you just an overview about it. And then this tells you how to join. And your questions can be sent to this email address. Now, if you'll notice here, the live safari times are every day, but the Eastern Standard Time is from 12:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. for the sunrise safari, but the sunset safari is every day from 8:30 to 12:30. So it's actually going on right now. So we are going to click on it, and I will tell you, the first time I clicked on this, it did give me a 1 to 2 minute introduction, and then it went right into the live safari. So I'm going to hope that it will go right into the safari so that you can see this in action, and you can see this as sunset July 22nd. If I click play, we should be on the live safari. And I think this is awesome that students can
sign up to be an explorer today, and it could be you jetting off on an all-expenses-paid-for safari experience.
So it must have, I'm going to turn down the volume for just a minute. It must have delayed and gave me that. This is what it did to me the first time. So I was hoping it would go straight to the safari, because this morning it did for me without going through this introduction.
Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa.
So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let that keep playing in the background, and we're going to come back to that, because that way you can see the actual live safari. But the first time you go to this, or possibly after a couple of days of waiting, you may also get this introduction, which is fine. I understand that. And then it goes into the live safari. So we're going to leave that for just a moment, but I'm going to come back to it after we do the American Museum of Natural History. It should still be playing in the background. So I'm going to move on to that one just for time's sake, but I do want you to see that live safari. I think that's really cool. Earlier, when I was in there and it was working, they had hippopotamuses out there, and they were watching them, which was really cool. Okay, so the American Museum of Natural History is another resource. And again, I mentioned earlier that several museums have educational resources, but I wanted to highlight this one because it offers some educational resources and gives you a chance to explore things that you can share within your curriculum. So I'm going to click, well, actually, if I scroll down, you can see it talks about what's going on at the museum, but it also has resources for learning links. And there's some other things that talks to you about, here's some articles, the planetarium programs, and then they have a special exhibition going on right now. But and if you scroll down, I'm going to share this with you too in just a bit. This is a really cool website. But for now, let's go to resources for learning. And within this site, you will see many educational resources that they have created. Some of these are hands-on, some of these are articles. I'm going to scroll down because some of them have videos. They have different resources that you can search for and use. And if you want to narrow them down, you can narrow them down here by grade level, or even something for the educator. They have the different topic areas, or you could do resource type. So if you only wanted curriculum units, for instance, you could click on that. And if you do that, just so that you know, the units have multiple resources within them. So you can scroll down and you can see the different units that they have available. I'm going to click on Deep Sea Vents just so that you can see one example of how these resources are put together. You can see they've pulled the articles, so you don't have to search for the individual articles. They've pulled it together within this actual curriculum unit. Here's some educator materials. So they have a lot of resources here that you could pull in and use for this topic. So I wanted to share that with you. Let's go back. And I'm going to go back to this other site, this right here, the science website for kids. You can also access it at the top under Explore. And when I click Explore, if I go there, you can see here's the science of COVID-19. So they have some information about that. They have other resources here, but I'm going to click on this one for now. And this shows you a kid-friendly site that talks about choosing an ology, the study of. And if you go here, you can click on one of these. Let's just click on marine biology as an example. And once you click on that, then it gives you additional resources about that topic. And these are more for the lower grades, obviously, than the other ones. So you can see these are more kid-friendly. And you can see here, if you're under All tab, you can see all the different resources, and it tells you hands-on, video, here's a story, here's a game. Or if you want just the games, you click on games. So you can click on the different tabs up here. If you just want the videos, then it shows you the videos. But again, if I go back to all, it shows all the resources that are linked to marine biology. You can also go up here and choose these topics up here within that menu. You can also search here. There's a search feature within that. So just want to share that with you. That's an excellent resource that you may want to use within your classroom, especially if you are a science teacher. So what I'm going to do, let's go back and see if the Daily Safari, there it is. Let's turn it up.
It's not going to be a big snack. It's not going to.
This is the live Safari, just so that you know. I went back in case you stepped out or whatever. And you can see it says PG and live.
My goodness. And although it's small, a tree squirrel's really flexible and fast and nimble. I mean, that's a lot. How he managed to catch that, I don't know.
Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's interesting that it's live. So I'll keep it running in the background, but you can also go to that and see that. Now, obviously this animal is eating, but that deals with the life cycle. So you might have to prepare kids, especially if they are in the middle of catching something, because that could happen in a live safari, and you don't want to upset kids, especially the younger ones. So be aware of that. But when they're catching their prey, but I think it's very interesting to be able to see them in their habitat, see what kind of food maybe they are eating and catching, and just to be able to ask questions to those experts. That's awesome. And you can do that. All right, so we're going to go to the brain break. So before we go into our brain break, I want to show you window swap, especially when we were in the virtual scenario. We were all in our homes and you didn't have a chance to see outside of anybody else's window but yours because you were pretty much confined to your house. You could get in your car and travel a little bit, but a lot of that was restricted. So I wanted to show you this resource, which is awesome. It's just a quick resource that shows you somebody else's what they see outside of their window. And it's anywhere around the world, and it just randomly pulls places from around the world and lets you look out their window. So you do not have to log in and sign up. If you want to, you can, and then you can upload from your window if you want someone to see what you see. But if you just click that you want to see a place in the world, it will bring up somebody else's window. And sometimes you can hear, if you have your volume up, you can hear birds chirping or traffic riding by because it's a live window view. And I'll wait for this one. This one's actually coming up from Pittsburgh. I mean, sometimes I get China, Japan. Sometimes I get, say, to Washington. London. I'm going to turn this volume up and see if you can hear it. Oh, you can hear it. You can see somebody's walking there. So this is in Pittsburgh. And then if you want to change, you can click here, open a new window somewhere in the world. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see now I'm going to Myanmar. So this is going to come up. Just want to let you know that this is a resource in case you want to see what's happening or see something different, a change of scenery. And sometimes that's important, especially when we were confined. Prayerfully, that's the end of that, and we can now be back face to face. But I still think this is pretty cool just to see what's happening in other places around the world. So we're going to take a 5-minute brain break. And if you want to explore the resources I've shared this morning, you want to go back and look at that Safari, or you want to go to Window Swap and see somebody else's windows, or if you need to use the restroom, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and start a 5-minute break. We're at 11:38. So we'll come back and reconvene at 11:43. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I'm going to mute myself. Before I go, Lindsay, were there any questions right now, or are we good?
There are no questions.
Okay, awesome. All right, we're going to go into our 5-minute break, and I'll see you back at 11:43. Okay, it is 11:43, so we're coming back. I don't know if you saw, I had the live safari on still, so I thought that was really cool. And then there was a hyena out there. So anyway, we're coming back from the brain break. We're going to go ahead and get back started. We have just a few seconds, and we'll get back started in just a minute. Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed the window swap. Sometimes it takes a bit for it to load, but it is really cool once it comes up, and you can leave it there, and then it again, you can hear the sounds. I've gotten some before where I could hear the birds chirping, and I think that, and just in other places of the world, it's really neat. There we go. All right, so our next resource is National Geographic Education, and National Geographic's been around for a long time. So you know that that has provided many resources for education in the past, but I did want to share with you their website because you can search for educational resources by grades, content, and subject. They have a neat mapping site. And then they also offer Explorer magazines for grades K through 6. So I'm going to show that to you as well, just so that you know about those resources and how to access those. So as it loads, it's going to take just a moment. And I do have it linked straight to education, as you can see. It's going to come straight to education site. I may have to turn off that live safari just so that everything else runs more smoothly. That might be why, because my video is going. So I'm going to close this just so that that helps with my bandwidth, because that does impact it when it's playing a video like that. I'm going to close out these window swaps too. All right, so when you go to the education site, you can see here's the link for professional development. There's a link here for student experiences. But this is what I want to point out to you, some classroom resources. They have a resource library, some mapping resources, and then links to Explorer magazines. So, whoops, it obviously went up itself. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to go to the resource library. I want to show you how you can actually search for the resources and the many resources that they have available on all different types of topics that could support your curriculum in your classroom. So as you can see here, there's just a list over to the right, but you also can see over here, you can narrow them down. Look at all the resources that are there for 12 plus. 2,700 resources. So 3,800 for grade 7, 650 for pre-K. So you can click on these grade levels to narrow down. You can also go by content type, like if there's certain things specific you want. They have activities, articles, collections, infographics, etc. And then they have the different subjects that you could narrow down as well. So you can see here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click infographic just because I think that's pretty cool. And you can see here that they can, they show infographics for different topics here. The marine food pyramid, plant cell, animal cell, and it tells you what grade levels that they are related to. Again, you could go over here and do 5 for 5th grade, and it will tell you anything that's linked within 5th grade. So I wanted to show that to you. Let's go to, take off infographic and go to collection, and I'm just going to show you, we're going to go to one of the collections in just a moment, but I do want to tell you, if you notice here, this is where people have bookmarked. So obviously this is a pretty good collection that may have been used because over 1,000 people have bookmarked this collection. So if you log in, you can sign in and create your account, and then you can bookmark these collections or these resources that you can go back and you don't have to search for them again because they'll be under your account. So I haven't logged in, obviously I'm not logged in, but you can see here, you still can access it. You just can't bookmark it and quickly go back to it later. And that would be a benefit of logging in. So just so that you can see when I click on it, it's going to take just a minute to load, but it will show you what resources are within that collection. And this has the grade levels 5 through 8. And if I go down, you can see their activities. There's an encyclopedia entry. There's a video. So you can go through and see the different resources that are there as a part of it. There's a lesson. So when you're in that whole curriculum, it tells you all the resources within it. And you can go here and narrow down. There's 15 activities, 10 articles, 4 videos. So if you just want to see the videos that relate to that, then you can click on that, see what the videos are. And again, you can see the number of bookmarks that are there for those as well. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that's a great resource that you may not be aware of that could be used within your instruction. And when you're looking at these different collections, it tells you how many resources are within it as well. Like this collection only has 4, but this one has 22. So it gives you an idea of how many resources are in there. And then this over here, when I clicked on collections, it narrowed down and tells you there's 61 for geography, 2 for religion, 1 for math. So it narrows it down even more. And that's all. I'm still under 5th grade as well. So just so that you're aware of that. So I wanted to share that with you because that's an excellent resource that provides some lessons, some videos, some articles, and some activities that you could use within your classroom. So the next resource I want to share with you, we're going to go and look at the mapping resources. So whether you teach anything dealing with maps, geography or anything like that, there's still some things that you could possibly look at for history and different things. And we'll show you the different options that it gives you within this map maker. Before I go to that, just scrolling down just to show you where you can learn more about giant maps. Here's some one-page maps that you can download, print, or share. And then they have some map maker kits. So I want to share that with you. But this here, to me, is really cool. They have an interactive map maker. And I'm going to show you how you can do some overlays within this map. So I'll give it just a minute to load. And it's going to pop up where I'm thinking it is, about a beta version. I'm going to go into the regular version right now. And you'll see that just a minute prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and just continue to Map Maker Interactive. And you can see the map here. You can go to a base map and go to a different type of base map by clicking up here on this tab. So if I click on that, well, it was still loading, I guess. Maybe I went too quickly. You can get a satellite view. You can get how the terrain is, the topographical map. So just so that you can see that there are different base maps. The legend, you'll see in just a moment once we start adding layers. So let's add a layer. And when you add a layer, these are the different topics that you can use or click on to add a layer to your map. So if we want to know the CO2 emissions in the world and the levels, and this is averaged over 2006, 2010. So keep in mind with that data, and you can click more than one overlay, but for right now, I'm going to click just that one so that you can see the CO2 emissions throughout the world. And look where they are. Look at how bright the United States is. If you click on legend, you can see down here the level of CO2 emissions, which is really astounding. But and I click on data, I noticed that it didn't bring anything up for me earlier, so I don't know if that brings up anything until you start adding more layers or anything. I'm not sure where that piece comes in. But the base maps lets you choose the different maps. The legend tells you more about the color variations and then the different layers. So I could add another layer, and I didn't show you this just a moment ago, but there are 3 pages of layers. So you can click, here's one about earthquakes, geothermal energy, gray wolves, gross domestic product, gross national income per capita, and then there's a 3rd page. So just wanted to share those with you. I'm going to click on this one, the gross national income per capita, and add that. Now, when you overlay 2 things, you can see it's a little bit hard to read. To me, it is. You can change the transparencies here. Or in my case, I'm just going to close out CO2. And when I do, it just shows the gross national income per capita. So you can see here where we stand. And I did not mean to do that. That was my mouse, but it's okay. It just brings it out a little bit more. But you can see where we are. And Greenland North America, I mean, Canada, all of them are with us, Australia. So you can see that. I think that's a really cool thing that you could do. And if you're teaching things about the economy, economics of the world, you can pull this up. So I wanted to share that with you. So it's not just about the geology, it's about, the geography, it's about some other resources that you can use these maps for. So I wanted to share that with you. You can always click here on National Geographic and it takes you right back to their main page. Again, I was under education and then they have the classroom resources. And I told you I was going to show you the magazine. So I'm going to show you that link for just a moment and then we'll move on. So Explorer magazine, and they have links to magazines that are I think I said K through 6 earlier, but it says K through 5. So they have a Scout and they have these issues here, and you can actually go back and view these issues. I know it's going to take just a minute to load, but you can go back and view them just by clicking on them, and you can scroll down. They have the different ones for the different grade levels. So you can see that it changes here. Again, you can view these issues. I'm not going to click on them and go into them, but just so that you know that those resources are here if you want to use those within your classroom. Okay, so that was National Geographic education resources. We're now going to go to Google Arts and Culture. And this site provides so much. It really is, has so many resources that there's not going to be any way that I can show you all of them today, but I'm going to show you and highlight some of them because you can view art, museums, the national parks, different cultures throughout the world, 360 videos of places around the world, kind of like Google Expeditions were. So I want to show this to you. This just highlights the top picks for the day. So you could walk around here. If you scroll down, you can see these are different museums. And this just gives a today in history. There's interactive experiences, like which artwork looks like you. So you could actually take a picture of yourself and see which artwork favors you. Lots of resources here. You can scroll down. If you do a favorite color, it just pulls up things that relate to orange. Artworks, over 100,000 artworks. There are lots of games. There are places you can explore. There are several museums that you can go in. I'll just click on the museums for now so that you can see the different museums that are there within the collection. So this is a good place to go if you want to look within those museums and let students see what's in that museum, what that museum represents. If you can walk in, some of them have the virtual capability of walking around. You can see this little person here. And then some of them have exhibits that they'll show in this collection, the different paintings, the different things that are showcased there in that museum. And there's one museum view where you can actually click and explore within that museum. So this is where it really becomes cool, where you can take and, turn yourself around and see what it would be like to be standing in that museum. And I'm just clicking my mouse and dragging around so that you can see that. Now I'm going to go back and we're going to go, and you can actually go up here and search. You can find different things. Let me go here and just put in, I'm going to put in Grand Canyon just to search. And when you do a search, it brings up what it has available with that for the Grand Canyon. There's 713 items. If you go down, there's some collections. There are some online exhibits that students could look at and explore. And here are 2,600 items, pictures, things that represent things that have taken place in the Grand Canyon. Here are some museum views. I'm going to click on one of those. You can see the little people there is an alert that you can actually turn yourself around within that. Like put yourself there, just like you did with Google Expeditions and I'm just clicking again and dragging, and you can go down and like look where you are, or you can even pull up and look up at the sky and turn around so that you're actually standing there in the Grand Canyon. It's pretty cool to put yourself there and see it. So these will allow students to see the different places that they wouldn't be able to see, or if they were not in, if they don't get to go visit. And many students, unfortunately, don't, and even teachers for that matter, don't get to go places and get to explore and see those places. And so that can be challenging when you're trying to talk to them about something or a certain area and they don't understand, but you can actually put them there and let them see the different sediment layers that are there if you're teaching about sediments and you know, habitats and different things. So just want to share that with you. I clicked here explore, and when you click explore, it gives you some categories. Some of the same things we've seen, it's just a different way that it's organized. Here I can click on the 360 videos, and this will give you different videos again that you can look at. And we went to the Grand Canyon. I won't click on that, but like here you can tour the Hubble Mission Operations Room. That would be really cool. Step into the Orion Nebula. So just being able to explore these places that you would not be able to see. And you can get a textbook, you can get pictures, but that doesn't do it justice when you're standing there and can act, or actually just getting that visual of what it would look like to stand there, and it's an actual image that you can turn around and see, just like you were saying. I think that's pretty cool that you can do that. So wanted to share that with you. There are so much more within Google Arts and Culture. I encourage you to explore that. Again, that touches on many subject areas that could benefit you within your classroom and the resources that you use. So we talked about the 360. We had some things within Google Arts and Culture that lets you see within the museums or within the national parks or within the different resources there, even looking at art and space. Oh, my computer went quickly. Sorry, give it just, oh, there we go. So we're going to go to 360 cities, and I want to show you this because if you're talking about, you know, if you're reading a story and it relates to a certain city, and you may want students to understand what's in that city or what that city looks like, this gives you views, just like we did of the Grand Canyon, but it gives you views within that city. So I'm just opening this up right now, and this is out on an island, which is really cool. And I can click and just, I don't want to do that justice by not saying that word correctly, so, or injustice. So I'm just taking my mouse and looking at this point within the island. But I want to show you, if I click open map, and you can click up here and type in any city you want to see if they have a video. But if I click on open map, then you will see, in just a moment, I'm going to zoom out, you will see where all of the places you can go and actually view a 360 image of. So if I scroll out, or zoom out, not scroll, zoom, excuse me, then you can see, as I zoom out, new images are popping up. So I'm going to zoom out and keep zooming. Sometimes it gets ahead of me if I zoom too much, but you can see where we were on an island way out off of Africa. So keep zooming out. Look at all the places that are popping up that you could see the 360 view, and it's still popping. It's just populating. And I'm going to keep going out in just a moment. But if you take your mouse, actually it went out itself. My mouse is so sensitive, so hang tight. As they all load, you can see where you can go. Now, we don't have every city represented here. Dang it, it wants to be so sensitive. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. But you can get the idea of the places that you could actually click on. If I hover over it, this tells you New York City Ground Zero. Okay, and it tells you when this image was taken, 2007. So if I click on that, and that was actually on September 11th, 2007. So if you click on it, it will load. And so this gives the students a chance to put themselves in that city, and then I can take and turn around as if I'm standing there. Oh, that's beautiful. So you can see this was ground zero in 2007. So again, that was one of the, that one gave you the date of when that was taken, and it may not always do that. And I meant for it to go back to the map, but that's fine. So I wanted to show this to you because I think it's really cool. Again, you might just be reading a story. You might be talking about, you know, what's going on in the world, and you might want students to see that part of the world. I'm going to share with you a site in just a bit about pen pals, and you may want to have pen pal, a classroom across the world, and then the students could actually go there and look at that area of the world. I just think it's really cool. And again, if you just hover, you can see what's going to be there. So that tells you. This one doesn't have a date, so you don't know when that one was taken, but some of these have dates, like that one did. So just want to share that with you. I'm not going to take time to go through all of them, but it's really cool to be able to put yourself there and see what it would look like if you were there in those locations. So I wanted to share that resource with you. And now let's go to current events and news resources. So the news, you know this, any type of like, you know, a lot of the news is written for adults. Let me go back to that. So these sites actually are more appropriate, age appropriate for elementary, middle school students, depending on your level, and high school students too. But it does relate more to kids and puts it more at their level so as they can better understand what's going on around the world. Now, in this case, this site actually comes back up August 1st. They take a break for the summer, but they still have some of their previous articles up there. But August 1st, they'll start back with new current events, and then they'll have science, social studies. You can see here, you can click on the different topics and see what's going on in those different areas. So I wanted to share this resource with you. I'm going to go back. Young Zine is another one that also has articles. Now this one, they don't take a break, but so you can see the things that are going on. And they actually highlight some of the top things, but you can also click on these topics here too and see what's going on. So just want to share these with you as quick resources for current events. And then this one is news for kids. And again, this highlights things that are going on around the world. So they're talking about the Olympics, and that is definitely going on, getting ready to start. So just wanted to share this with you so that you can have something that's more kid friendly with the news and current events. And you can see they're not ads popping up that can be inappropriate or something that would pull a kid to another site. So that's another benefit for using these sites. So I just wanted to share those with you. Now, Pen Pal Schools, I mentioned that. This site is, if you want to, and I'm sure you could still make connections otherwise, but this is an actual site that you could create an account and actually set up an opportunity to collaborate with another classroom around the world. And you can see here, they connect students from 150 countries. And there's a short video here. We won't watch it, but you can click on that. And it just highlights about Pen Pal Schools and what they do. So wanted to make you aware of this. This is a good resource to get started. If you don't know how to get started or how can I find a school that would connect with me, you could use Pen Pal Schools and they can connect you in your classroom with another classroom around the world. So wanted to share that with you. That's an awesome resource to help you make those connections, and possibly your students could collaborate on a project with students in a whole nother country. You know, they've experienced the virtual learning now. They know how to operate. Most of them know how to, you know, virtually work together with other students. So that could definitely be something that they'd feel more comfortable with now. And it would be an awesome opportunity to learn about other cultures, how students approach projects differently in other countries. So I encourage you to try to reach out to another school or another country for that. So the next source I want to show you is Fulbright Teachers for Global Classrooms program. This is an opportunity for you as an educator, that if you are interested in going to another country and having a chance to explore and understand more about their culture in that country, you can actually apply to possibly go on, I'm going to scroll down, an international field experience. And I actually have a teacher that I know, very good friends with. She just came back from Iceland and she went on a Fulbright scholarship. So it was an awesome experience, and she was there for like a month with some other educators, and she posted pictures on Facebook, and it was awesome. It was beautiful. And so I'm sure that that opened up her whole understanding of that country, and now she can bring that back and share that in her classroom. So you can learn more about those yourself firsthand if you apply and get selected for one of those opportunities. There's also a symposium in DC that you could also apply to participate in. So just want to share that with you, because that is an option that teachers may not realize, that you can apply for those opportunities. You know, we have NCAT in the state where you can apply and go do some PD and do different things, and you can go possibly visit some places, but the Fulbright takes you on an international option. So just wanted to share that with you. All right. So now I want you to, if you would, take a moment, and I want you to go to this Padlet, and it is hyperlinked here. You can click on the blue screen, and Lindsay can, if she would, paste that in the chat for me. And then there's also a QR code that you can scan. And I'll leave this up for a moment so that if you're scanning with your QR code, you can go to the Padlet and type in, and you would, once you get there, you're just going to click on the plus, or I think you can double click within the window and type in what was a new tool or resource you learned about today, and then just type how you could share it. I mean, how you can share how you can use it, or a benefit of using it with students. And it doesn't have to be very detailed, just something brief, you know, a resource that you learned about today, and then how you could use it, or a way that students could benefit from it. And then I'm going to click on the Padlet now. And if you could add those, that would be great. Again, you would just click the plus, or you could double click and just share a tool or a resource. And so even after today's session, if you go back here and add something, that will help me, because then I will know the areas that were very helpful for you, the things that I shared that could be beneficial to your classes. So I would know in the future, you know, some things that I might want to include, or some things that I recognize may not have been used as much, or may not have been as new to some of you. Awesome. Window swap. Okay, and pen pal. So I can see you typing, which is awesome. And Lindsay shared that in the chat, so thank you. If you'll click on that, if you couldn't get the scan, the barcode, or clicking on the link. Absolutely, window swap can definitely be used as a calming background. That's really good while students are working. Just be aware it is live. I've seen dogs run up. You know, if I'm in, that they have their backyard, and so dogs run up, and you don't know. I mean, I guess that means anything can happen, so be prepared for that. But in most cases, I have not seen anything that's been inappropriate. But as a disclaimer, I want to say that could be possible. So just know that. But it is a neat site to me, because it puts you in a different place around the world. Okay, someone posted the pen pals are really excited about this. They're a global school. Awesome. This person's at a global school, and they're looking for a way to connect to places outside of US. So awesome. And they have a great resource already for their foods unit. Wonderful. So that's something they can connect on. That would be neat to learn about the things they eat in different countries, because when you eat the same thing that you're familiar with, you don't realize what others are eating around the world is totally different. And some of the names and just how they put things together. And then virtual field trip ideas. Someone posted the many different sites. Awesome. Take the students to other regions of the world. Awesome. Thank y'all so much for sharing. Again, continue to post, and I will revisit this after the session so that I can see, again, how these resources will be beneficial for you and your students. Are there any questions? Have you had any questions, Lindsay?
Nope, we just got a question about the QR code not working, but I just posted the alternate attendance form link.
Okay, all right. And the QR code, I'm going to go to that in just a minute, and I'm going to move the box so that you can actually scan it. I don't know if they were talking about the QR code for the Padlet, and I apologize if that didn't work. But you can, when you go to the presentation, that presentation, if you click on that blue Padlet, it is hyperlinked, so you still can go and add to the Padlet even after this session. So if you want to do that in just a bit. I do want to make you aware that you can make a forced copy of this presentation by clicking here. And that way, if there's a resource that you would like to share with your staff, I have no problem with you taking that information from my slides and using it to share within your districts or within your schools. So that way it's easier for you to access if you get a forced copy. So you'll have more flexibility to pull things in and out and move them around. So just want to share that with you. And then, as Lindsay was talking about, let's see, I have cited sources. That's just making sure I cover my bases and I cite the sources that I use. And then here's the QR code for you for today. I have to move this. Oh, hold on. I'm going to have to escape out to go back and put it on the full slide so that you can see it. So I can move this for you. Now you can scan that QR code for your attendance. Again, Lindsay posted the alternate attendance form in the chat, that link, so that if you cannot get this QR code to work, and I'm going to leave it up for just a bit, then you can click on that alternate attendance link, and that will also work. Okay, I see Beverly mentioned the QR for the attendance, and that's what Lindsay said. So yes, Lindsay put that alternate link there. So if this QR code does not work, please use this alternate link. Okay. Let me click on it, because when I clicked on it, it worked for me. And let me see if it redirects. Okay, I do see that. So I sincerely apologize for that. And we have updated this link. Let's do this. Put your names in if you would put your email address in the, I'm trying to think, the back channel. Please, if you were not able to get it to work, and let me know that you were not able to get it to work, and then I will follow up with you and make sure I get your names shared with the leaders of the conference, Lauren and Brian, and see if they can help with making sure that you get your attendance cleared. And if we need to email you and ask you to do something else, I will do that. But if you will please go into the document here and add your email address if you were not able to get the attendance link to work. And I sincerely apologize for that. So we will get that covered for you. I want to make sure you definitely get your attendance. All right, and then the last slide is feedback. If you would please click on the feedback link and complete that. It won't take but just a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, to give us some feedback on this session as well as other sessions that you attend. I'm going to go back to this in case it is working for some so that you can access that. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Okay, someone posted that code did work. So perfect. So if you would scan that code and see if that works for you, awesome. I will leave it up on my screen for the remainder of the session. We have 12:17, we have till 12:20, so I will leave it up for the next 3 minutes so that if you need to access that, you can. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to reach out to me. You have my email address, and I appreciate Lindsay's help today. Thank you, Lindsay, for posting those sites and monitoring the chat for me. That was a tremendous blessing for me. And Ashley, I'm glad you enjoyed the session. So thank you. I appreciate all of you attending, and I hope you're able to use some of the resources that I shared today. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much.